Kasavuli had graced the retirement ceremony of Kisoro Girls High School Chief Principal Rose Monzi in Kakamega, where he cautioned politicians against equating crowds in their rallies with voters in their favor. He urged leaders to foster peace.
Don't be persuaded na crowd, because crowds do not normally translate into votes. Let's talk and preach about peace.
Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala has reiterated his call on the One Kenya Alliance to select Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi as their presidential candidate.
Hatuwezi kuwa kila saa tunasupport watu wengine na mtoto wetu hatumsupport. Ni wakati sasa Mheshimiwa Kalonzo na Mheshimiwa Raila waregeshe mkono sasa. Sisi tunawaomba, the only formula that we shall accept in One Kenya Alliance ni kama Musalia atapeperusha bendera ya One Kenya Alliance.
In Kisii, the endorsement of Henry Orara to vie for the Nyaribari Chache constituency seat has not gone down well with some of the members of the Botondo clan who prefer James Kenani. They claim they were not consulted in endorsing Orara.
Kenani amefanya mema. Na kile nilikuwa nataka kusema, maoni haya tumekuwa naye tusimamie kama watu ambapo tuko na stand. Tusiwe tunayumba yumba tukifikiria hapa na hivi. Kama wakaazi wa Nyaribari Chache tumemwangalia na kuona maono makuu.
And the New Democrats Party Deputy Leader Jimmy Kibaki wants Kenyans to elect leaders who will foster development and shun politics of fear and tribalism.
If we believe in your principles as a party and as an individual, then as TND we are going to support you.
Yusufar reporting for the Legends edition.
Garissa Township Member of Parliament Aden Duale now wants the House recalled from recess for a special sitting to consider the Petroleum Products and Taxes Bill 2021, which is aimed at reducing value-added tax on petroleum products, easing the cost of living. The Garissa lawmaker regretted that the bill has not been given priority despite directives by the President to the Petroleum Ministry and National Treasury to develop a framework to stabilize fuel prices.
Garissa Township Member of Parliament Aden Duale now wants Parliament recalled from its 7-week recess to expedite on the Petroleum Products and Taxes Bill 2021, which is aimed at reducing VAT on petroleum products and thereby easing the cost of living.
Monday I'm writing to the Speaker to either do two things. One, the Speaker to recall the House and deal with that bill so that Kenyans can get fuel which is cheaper and reduce the cost of living. Or two, when the House resumes on the 25th of January, the first thing that the House must consider and complete and taken to the President for signature is the Petroleum Products, Taxes and Levies Bill 2021.
The Garissa lawmaker regretted that the bill by the Departmental Committee on Finance has not been given priority despite pledges by key leaders to rally Member of Parliament behind the bill to reduce the cost of living to Kenyans. Duale further lamented that directives by the President in his Mashujadi speech that the Petroleum Ministry and the National Treasury develops a framework to stabilize fuel prices are yet to bear fruit.
Under Article 95 of the Constitution, Parliament is under obligation to deal with matters that are of great importance to the people of Kenya. And it is very sad that our competitors, the so-called the handshake team in Parliament, are so selfish that they are only recalling the House and they are only giving priority to bills that are of value and interest to the political class.
If passed, the bill will affect several proposals, with recommendations by the Gladys Wanga-led committee being among them imposition of 50,000 fine or imprisonment of 1 year or both for any person who fails to comply with the provisions of the development levy order. Lawmakers have also proposed that VAT be cut from 8% to 4%, with further slashing of VAT rate on liquefied petroleum gas or cooking gas from the current 16% to 8%. For Legends Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
ODM leader Raila Odinga has accused Deputy President William Ruto of allegedly derailing President Uhuru Kenyatta's administrative agenda during his first term in office, in a perceived response to Ruto's accusation that the handshake wrecked the Big Four agenda. The ODM leader asserted that he would add on to President Kenyatta's development legacy should he emerge victorious in the race for presidency in the August polls. Ben Chumba reports.
In his larger effort to consolidate votes from the vote-rich Mount Kenya region ahead of the August presidential elections, ODM leader Raila Odinga held rallies in Thika, Kiambu County. Odinga, who is taking his 5th stab at the presidency, held consultative forum with a section of Mount Kenya leaders and opinion shapers at the Mount Kenya University, who assured him of their unwavering support in his presidential bid.
Tumekuwa na viongozi 1,000 wa Kiambu na wao wamesema wamekubali rais wa 5 wa Kenya ni Raila Amolo Odinga.
The former Prime Minister will then proceed to the Thika Green Stadium, where he accused Deputy President William Ruto of allegedly derailing President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration from performing his duties during his first term in office.
Jamaa ya kutoa ahadi, kila mara ahadi, aliahidi watoto yote laptop. Hiyo laptop alileta. Aliahidi stadium kila county. Hapa Kiambu mmeona hiyo stadium? Anasema ati handshake ni handshake gani? Umekuwa kwa serikali miaka 8. Kazi imekushinda. Toka wacha baba onyeshe wewe vile kazi inafanya.
While underscoring critical services delivered by President Kenyatta in his second term in office, Odinga asserted that he will build upon President Kenyatta's development legacy should he emerge victorious at the August polls.
Thika superhighway will be the first superhighway katika Afrika Mashariki. Nilijenga si kujenga. Silijengeka. Sikafika hapa. Hata hii kutoka Kenol mpaka Marua ilichorwa wakati yangu. Sawa? Uhuru sasa amejenga. Uhuru amejenga. Uhuru amejenga. Tuna maaza na barabara mingi zile za maomao ambayo iko hapa naendelea. Na hakikishie nyinyi yale mradi yote Uhuru ameanza zitaendelea hata chini yangu.
The ODM leader, while defending his social welfare plan of giving out 6,000 shillings to the jobless to cushion them from economic hardship, dismissed DP Ruto's camp for criticizing his agenda, saying he is aware of how his government will raise the money.
Hakuna pesa. Mimi Raila Amolo Odinga nimeshakuwa waziri mkuu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa miaka 5. Najua pale pesa iko.
Ben Chumba, Legends Edition.
The Lamu County Security Committee has threatened to extend the curfew if citizens do not cooperate with security forces in an effort to track down terrorists who wreaked havoc in the area. County Commissioner Irungu Masharia says the cooperation from the public in apprehending the criminals has been low, resulting in only 10 suspects being arrested.
The level of defiance by a section of members of public to the 30-day dusk to dawn curfew imposed by the government in Lamu has invited the wrath of Lamu County Commissioner Irungu Masharia. Masharia has threatened to extend the curfew if citizens do not cooperate with security forces in flushing out militia from the area.
Pasiposhirikiana na sisi kuna uwezekano hata hiyo curfew kuongezwa masiku. So letu tunaomba tu tupate ushirikiano wa karibu sana na nyinyi ama wananchi kwa ujumla uweze kupata hawa maadui pale hapo tuone area yetu iko safe, tuendelee na biashara bila kawaida. Nimekwambia msiposhirikiana, wananchi wasipotupatia habari, uwezekano wa kuongozi wa siku za kafyu.
Macharia was accompanied by other senior security officers and those who have fled their homes to return, saying security has been beefed up in the area and across the county.
Sasa nataka niendelee kuhakikishia wa Kenya na watu wengine wote pale walipo wanatazama hizi runinga na tasoma hizi habari kwamba Lamu kuna usalama wa kutosha. There is adequate security today and it is still a very safe destination for travel and trade. Watu wakuje kufanya biashara.
The General Service Unit Commander Douglas Kanja has warned those who incite people to violence of dire consequences.
Wale wana inciters. Nataka kusema hivi, we don't have space for them. Hatuna. Maneno ya incitement is unacceptable.
Lamu has in recent days witnessed a surge in deadly attacks believed to be waged by Al-Shabaab terrorist group, prompting the government to impose a 30-day dusk to dawn curfew. The attacks have left 13 people dead, including 4 police officers who were killed after their vehicles hit by an explosive device. The violence cast a dark shadow on Lamu Port's development, despite assurances by the government that insecurity will not affect the viability of the facility.
We pray that the situation will be contained. Well, moving on to matters health, Kenya on Saturday recorded 624 new COVID-19 infections out of the 7,045 samples screened over the last 24 hours, according to the data from the Ministry of Health. The figures indicating a drop in the positivity rate to 8.9%. This now pushes the cumulative positive cases to 317,324 out of the over 3.1 million samples tested so far. The number of fatalities rose to 5,488 after 6 more deaths were recorded, all being late reports after conducting facility record audits in the month of January 2022. Kenya has also recorded 1,144 recoveries from the disease, leaving some 1,059 patients still admitted in hospital. So globally, over 323 million cases have been confirmed, with over 5.5 million deaths resulting from COVID-19. And now, addressing school unrest, a school in Baringo has come up with a cultural day where students showcase their talent, bringing them closer to the school administration. The move, the school hopes, will help curb indiscipline and unruly behavior among learners in the wake of the recent school unrest witnessed in several parts of the country.
The country had been grappling with a wave of school unrest that saw learning interrupted and property destroyed. Schools are now devising unique ways of bringing learners closer to the administration and address the issues they may be facing. Ruth Kiptui Kasok, a girls' school in Baringo North, has set aside a day for students to participate in activities such as dancing, cooking competitions, folk and cultural songs, poems, modeling, among others. In this year's competition, Adriana Gloria, a Form 1 student, emerged the winner of the modeling competition, a title that comes with gifts, including payment of school fees and school uniform.
It is a chance to showcase my talent, my passion, what is deep inside, just to remove it and show it to everyone, and to also show people that you can make it, you can do it, if you believe in yourself and if you also trust God.
The school's administration says that such initiatives play a key role in harnessing talent, while at the same time improving the relationship between learners and teachers.
I don't think the girls of Ruth Kiptui girls have any time to think about banning of the school, because we have also encouraged dialogue I talk to them more than just giving instructions. I listen to them most of the time. And because of this confidence that has actually been created through such activities, they are able to come to my office. I encourage them to come to my office anytime, and they are able to talk to me.
It's a co-curricular activity that really helps the students to open up their minds, and they learn from other cultures as well, because there are diverse cultures in the school, students from different regions of the country.
Nancy Okware, Legends Edition.
Thank you, Nancy. We pray that more schools are going to adopt that exercise. Property worth millions of shillings was Saturday morning destroyed after fire razed a building housing several government department offices in Murang'a County. Locals say the fire broke out around 4:30 a.m., burning down an office block housing departments of youth, sports, culture, social services, adult education, Women Enterprise Fund, and National Council for Persons with Disabilities. This story and more in our County News Roundup.
The early morning inferno is said to have started at the Office of Adult Education, then spread to other offices before the County Fire Brigade responded. Locals who rushed to the scene were forced to break the doors of government vehicles which were parked near the offices in order to push them a distance from the burning building.
Vile moto ilikuwa mingi na kila kitu hapo, kulikuwa na bikes, kulikuwa na uniform, kulikuwa na machine. Ilitubidi tukate moto mara moja, na tukakata hiyo moto, tukakata mpaka office ya social department, na ikaisha mpaka hapo, nayo maji kwa bahati mbaya ikaisha. Tulipoangalia ile hydrant inakuanga poster, tukakuta already ishatolewa, kabidi gari ziende maji kutoka kwa station.
Elsewhere, residents of Tharaka Nithi County have been asked to maintain peace as it is paramount during this campaign period. Chairman of Council of Elders in Tharaka Nithi County, Motegi Kiongo, called on political leaders to be ambassadors of peace and not divide the populace along ethnic lines.
Kama msiajuri cheki, ningeimisha na ningeuliza, tafadhali watu wa siasa wakae kando. Wananchi wako na jukumu kubwa sana, wasije kupiganisha watu.
Meanwhile, in Kitale, as the world and Kenya continue to fight the COVID-19 disease, members of the Seventh-day Adventists in Kitale are calling on the government to stop pushing for mandatory vaccination among Kenyans, claiming it is contrary to their beliefs.
Unasema kwamba mambo ya chanjo hayasaidii na hayana msingi mzuri kwa wale watu ambao wanamwamini Kristo, na tena si mpango ambao unaweza saidia wanadamu katika ulimwengu huu.
More than 100 members of the church have been protesting against the COVID vaccine while urging other Kenyans who believe in God to boycott the vaccine, claiming it is unsafe. And finally, a section of women drawn from Kajiado County have raised concerns over what they claim is delays by the justice system over cases involving women rights violations, as well as alleged police officers' involvement in bungling cases reported by women in police stations. They now want the gender-based desk at police stations manned by a well-trained female officer on matters pertaining to women and their rights.
Kwa sababu issues za gender desk mara nyingi sana huwa zinataka evidence. Sasa unakuja pale, hata kama ameenda kureport, evidence haipatikani sana, na hata ikipelekwa kwenye mahakama mara nyingi huwa zinapotea, na ikipotea unakuta yule mama pia anachoka, and most of the time hawa mama pia hawana fedha, na mara nyingi pia hizi cases ukishaingia inahitaji fedha.
Jacqueline Masharia for Legends Edition.
Well, thank you, Jacqueline. Of course, our sign language interpreter is Byron Aburi. And Topi Liambila, of course, is lining up for the sports desk, and he's filled to the rafters with stories just for you. Don't go.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya mtu ni watu, bonyeza *811*961#.
Mungu akitaka kukubariki atatumia watu. Maombi yako akitaka kuyajibu atatumia mtu. Hauwezi ukakaa maisha ya kujitenga. Hapana, sababu unahitaji watu. Angalia, toka nje, wacha kukaa peke yako. Toka, kutana na watu. Jumuika na watu, penda watu, furahia watu, zungumza na watu. Baraka.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya mtu ni watu, bonyeza *811*961#. *811*961#.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. The seven-bearded sisters is a phrase that the late former Attorney General Charles Njonjo coined in reference to 7 youthful members of parliament who were critics of the government of the late President Daniel Arap Moi. In History in Perspective tonight, 3 of the 7 bearded sisters reflect on their relationship with Charles Njonjo.
Through my many years, I have dedicated myself to the service of my country, my church, and my fellow men. In the civil service, my constituency of Kikuyu,
billowing white smoke, perhaps signifying eternal consensus between us all and the giver of the same. The smoke rising from the burning of flesh and bones, the remains of the first Attorney General of independent Kenya. Charles Mugabe Njonjo's journey on earth just ended after 101 years. With the Njonjo now gone forever, and leaving no autobiography to his name, the story of his public life can only be told through those who interacted with him, and they are not many.
People who are in positions of policy making, they have an obligation to write their memoirs or to record their experiences for posterity. So Njonjo then committed a social crime.
Here now is the story of Charles Njonjo, through the eyes of some former members of parliament, that he derogatively nicknamed the 7 bearded sisters. Members of the 7 bearded sisters included James Orengo, Koigi Wamwere, Mwashengu Wamochofi, Chebule Watsuma, Onyango Midika, Abuya Abuya, and Lawrence Sifuna.
Njonjo made a lot of people suffer, including me. There is nothing to admire about Njonjo.
We were 7, but 4 of us, he made sure we went to prison for nothing. We were very unsafe under him, but we did not care.
These were young people who had found their way to parliament, and in their exuberance were raising issues which were bothersome. And so he looks at them and said, these young people, many of them with beards, then he was insulting them, that they are not making sense as far as he's concerned, in part because they were raising difficult questions that maybe the country was not willing or ready to deal with.
Ilikuwa ni njia yake tu ya kudharau hata vile wale walikuwa na they had a high opinion of us. Hakutaka yeye. He felt nothing good could come out of us.
Kenya was a one-party state, and the 7 MPs played the role of the unofficial opposition and would keep the government on its toes.
Our major aim was to create a country in which Africans were recognized as people and in which everybody else deserved the dignity that God gave him.
Some would soon end up in detention without trial, and others fled the country to exile.
At that time, when we were arguing in Parliament, Moi decided to detain me at Nyayo House, torture chambers. And in fact, quite a number of people died there.
Their abrasive approach would irritate right-wing MPs and top government officials, especially Charles Njonjo.
For those who were against what the government was trying to do, and therefore they felt that this is delaying our action because they were detained. I'm not defending the detention, but it was done.
The MPs were known to have formed a group of socialist thinkers in a country founded on capitalism. They would do research and analyze bills together before debating and taking on the government in Parliament. During the 1978 presidential transition, President Moi created a special ministry and appointed Njonjo the Minister for Constitutional and Home Affairs. Njonjo's new docket made him more powerful as Department of Criminal Investigations and that of Prison Service were put under his watch.
Njonjo was the most, if they said you'll get locked up, you'll get locked up.
Njonjo was a dictator. Njonjo was, he didn't have any relationship with even African in general, Kenyans in general.
And he despised anything African all the time. Now, he did not believe that some of us could survive in Bunge because he did not like things we are talking about. We are talking about how to develop Africa. He was not with us in development. He was in development for himself.
It is the upbringing. His father, he was one of the Africans to be made a chief because he tallied, he agreed with what the colonial project was all about. And so his son benefits from that project, the colonial project, of essentially convincing Africans that they really do not matter.
The 7 bearded sisters would be credited with laying a strong foundation for the second liberation struggle that culminated in the restoration of democracy in 1992. Of the 7, only James Orengo, now the Senator of Siaya County and the minority leader in the Senate, remains politically active and outspoken as he has not lost his firebrand politics yet. For history in perspective, I am Gashoka Kingori.
Well, we are now taking another break, and of course when we come back, Topi Liambila will be here with sporting news. Don't go.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafrica House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
Good evening once again. As a big welcome to the sports segment of the Legends Edition this Saturday evening. I hope that you are tuning into 2022 on a really sporting note, because we really have got plenty of action coming up, not only on this bulletin but all through the week on KBC Channel 1. Now we start off with rugby. National Rugby Sevens head coach Innocent Simiyu says the team is in tip-top shape ahead of the Spanish round of the 2021-2022 Sevens World Series slated for 21st to the 23rd January in Malaga, Spain. Shujaa will leave the country on Monday next week for the Malaga leg. Here's some of the reports.
The 13-man Shujaa squad to Spain held an intense training session Saturday morning at Kasarani Stadium. Head coach Innocent Simiyu is upbeat. His charges are ready for the task ahead.
The team looks sharp. Today we are having our last session before we depart on Monday morning, very early in the morning. We are quite hopeful that the boys will give us the best performance, and we are all looking up for Malaga.
Simiyu insists the players have responded well to training.
Our key focus is to break the jinx at the key events, being the Commonwealth Games and the World Cup. We want to come out with a medal in both tournaments. That is our key focus for the season.
His sentiments were echoed by Captain Nelson Oyo, who said their target this season is 100 points.
Focus yetu kwa hii season kwanza ni to bring everyone on board. We know you have new players in the system. To bring everyone on board. And then our target is every tournament where we want to get the maximum points that we can. But for us to do that, first we have to get to the quarters, and then from there we start working from the quarters.
Shujaa are drawn in Pool D for the Malaga tournament and will begin their campaign with a tie against Canada on Friday 21st January before taking on Wales. Shujaa will wind up their group matches against France.
Now on the local scene, Kariobangi Sharks are now placed third on the Kenyan Premier League log with 24 points after humbling AFC Leopards 3-1 at the Kasarani Stadium. Eugene Mukangura scored the opener for Ingwe in the 15th minute, but 5 minutes later Julius Masaba equalized for Sharks. Host Kariobangi Sharks scored 2 more goals in the 67th and 87th minutes to bag the maximum points. Sharks now occupy position 3 on the log table, behind leaders Kakamega Homeboys and KCB. In another match, Kenya Police trounced Mathare United 2-1. Here's some of the action. Well, not the action exactly, but I think just a graphic representation of what went on today. Now, on the African 100-meter record holder Ferdinand Omanyala has stated that he is ready to break his current record this season. Speaking after training at the Kasarani Stadium, Omanyala promised to continue flying the Kenyan flag high when he leaves the country next month for international assignments. Mwendwa with a report.
After leaving for international duties, Omanyala will participate in the World Indoor Games on March 18th, followed by the Police Championships and Nationals in April back in the country. He will also leave for the Continental Tour in May, African Championship in June, World Championship in July, and finish the season at the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth in August.
We started training in September, not in September, but in October last year, and we've been doing pre-season training, and the strength and conditioning part has gone on so well. Right now I'm feeling fast. I feel like I'm in very good shape. for the season. Last year we never got so many competitions at the start of the year. So this year I'm looking forward to, the competition begin in February. So I'm looking forward to, by June, I should be hitting my top shape, which I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm ready for it.
The African's fastest man has promised that he will ensure that he will represent the country and set a legacy for Kenya.
I've joined the police force, and it's a good job security for me. And I don't know the roles yet, but for me, I know I'm going to compete for them. I'm going to run with their vest in the upcoming nationals and the police championships. So far, that's what I'm going to do this year.
He has also promised to raise as many sprinters to also represent Kenya, both locally and internationally.
Individually, I'm looking forward to run under 977, be it 956, be it 94. I'm looking forward to run under 97. And for the country at large, I'm looking forward to see more sprinters. In the next Olympics, I hope that we'll have more than 5 sprinters, and even we can form a 4x1 relay team.
Daniel Mwendwa for Legends Edition Sport.
Our pride, Ferdinand, we hope for the best, and we hope that he brings the record again down on the African, not just on the continental scene, but also on the international scene. Now, top 4 players from each category were selected today to the FIDE Olympiad team for people living with disability during a one-day Kenya National Chess Championship held in Nairobi. A total of 87 players participated in both ladies and the open category. The event was used to select the national team players as well as to crown national champions 2021-2022 season. The participants were drawn from different special schools for children living with disability across the country. The report was prepared by Mwendwa.
My kids are kids who have dyslexia, and students who have dyslexia don't have any intellectual challenge. What they have is a learning difficulty, so they are not able to comprehend text easily. But in terms of intellectual ability, they are very okay.
We have quite a number of interpreters who don't know how to play chess. So it's more of like a daunting task for the arbiters to find a way to liaise with the interpreters to be able to know what's happening on the board. So for arbiters who don't know how to deal with players who are there, for instance, it's hard to communicate. There's that communication barrier in between.
Chess is a serious thing, and there is no fun but there is math involved. If you get confused or you forget, you do wrong calculation, then you get checkmated.
3-time Olympic champion Kenenisa Bekele of Ethiopia, the second fastest marathon runner in history with the best time of 2 hours, 1.41 seconds, will lead a line of elite athletes in this year's edition of the Boston Marathon set for 18th April this year. 7 of the past 8 winners will also return to Boston, including 2021 champion Benson Kipruto of Kenya, Lawrence Cherono 2019, Yuki Kawauchi winner of 2018, Geoffrey Kirui 2017, Lemi Berhanu 2016, and Lelisa Desisa 2015 and 2013 respectively are the other 6 winners. Other strong contenders include Titus Ekiru, the fastest marathon runner in the world last year, having run 2 hours, 2 minutes, 57 seconds in Milan. 2020 world leader Evans Chebet, New York City Marathon winner Albert Korir, and 3-time world half marathon champion Geoffrey Kamworor will also be on parade. Now, Novak Djokovic will spend another night in immigration detention ahead of his appeal against the re-cancellation of his visa, which will be held on Sunday before the federal court in Australia. Djokovic returned to an immigration detention hotel in Melbourne for a second time on Saturday after visiting his lawyer's offices as he continues to fight against deportation from Australia. After a late-night hearing on Friday, following the decision of Immigration Minister Alex Hawke to cancel Djokovic's visa a second time on the grounds of health and good order, A brief procedural hearing was held on Saturday morning. Djokovic was engaged in a legal dispute with the Australian government over his right to remain in the country despite not being vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. Was expected to be detained on Saturday per an agreement made on Friday by the representatives. The scheduling of the hearing for Sunday means the sub retains hope of beginning the defense of his Australian Open title on Monday. From NBA News, Luka Doncic inspired Dallas Mavericks to a 112-85 road victory against the Memphis Grizzlies to end their record win streak, while Jonathan Kuminga paced 6 double-figure scores with 25-pointers of the Golden State Warriors thrashed to the Chicago Bulls 138-96. In other matches, Toronto Raptors lost 87-103 to the Detroit Pistons. The Phoenix Suns were 112-94 winners over Indian Pacers, while Boston Celtics lost 99-111 to Philadelphia 76ers.
Guarded by Bain, tough pass, and the second consecutive turnover for the Mavericks. The lob, the slam.
Luka Doncic recorded 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists for his 40th career triple-double as the Dallas Mavericks rolled to a 112-85 road victory over Memphis to halt the Grizzlies' franchise record winning streak at 11 games. Tim Hardaway Jr. scored 16 points, and Jalen Brunson contributed 15 points, 9 assists, and a career-best 5 steals for Dallas, who won for the 7th time in their past 8 games. The Mavericks outscored Memphis 62-30 in the second half. Marquise Chris also scored 15 points. Dwight Powell and Dorian Finney-Smith added 13 apiece, and Reggie Bullock recorded 10 points and 9 rebounds for the Mavericks. Ja Morant posted 19 points and 8 assists, and Desmond Bain scored 16 points as Memphis lost for the first time since falling 113-104 to the Golden State Warriors on December 23rd.
As the game went on, legs pretty much just got heavier. Shots were short. Step late, on the defensive end. Obviously, we all know we was just trying to make a push. Just couldn't, honestly. Speaking for me, especially, I know I was tired. Wasn't locked in. Just throwing the ball all over the court. One, you just gotta throw out the window, man.
Kyle Anderson added 12 points. Elsewhere, Jonathan Kuminga placed 6 double-figure scorers with 25 points, and Kevin Looney notched 10 points and 12 rebounds as the visiting Golden State Warriors routed the Chicago Bulls 138-96. Chicago has lost 3 or 4 following a 9-game winning streak. Golden State, which had lost 4 of their previous 5 matches, have won 10 straight matches against Chicago.
That was KBC Channel 1's Munga with that report on the NBA. Now, Kevin De Bruyne produced a moment of world-class quality to tighten Manchester City's stranglehold on the Premiership League title race with a victory over Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. The former Chelsea player broke the deadlock in a closely contested match with a superb curling drive past keeper Kepa Arrizabalaga with 20 minutes left to extend City's lead at the top of the table to 13 points. Now, finally, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club has organized the Concourse d'Elegance for the past 50 years. The efforts put in by the club saw them honored with the FIA Founding Members Club Heritage Cup last year. Club Chair Peter Wandei tells of their labor of love.
What started as an event for Car Owners Club event 50 years ago has grown to become one of Nairobi's top social events. Vintage and classic car enthusiasts use the event to showcase meticulously restored and maintained vehicles that they hold on to dearly.
I think the Concourse is a product of very serious, intense and intentional dedication from the organizers, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club. There's been a committee in place since the first edition in 1971 who have kept the spirit of the event alive and with new ideas year in, year out, the event has grown from strength to strength and achieved the status that it has today as a big international event.
For the 110 entries, 70 cars and 40 motorcycles, it is a culmination of patience and dedication to their passion. The event caught the eye of the world's motorsport governing body, and they were honored with the FIA Founding Members Club Heritage Cup.
For me, I go to the Concourse to have fun. I go there to enjoy myself. So when I put in a car and it goes down the judging road successfully, that already is a success to me. But if I end up with a class win or a top 10 finish, that would be an extra.
This year's event is scheduled for the 25th of September 2022.
To have an event this year will count for me as a very great achievement. The committee is working around the clock to put adequate measures to hold the event under the strict COVID protocols. We are going to engage with the Ministry of Sports as well as the Ministry of Health to ensure that all health protocols are observed and the event can take place.
And stay tuned for the story of this event in the Living Legend section as you hear from event director Bob Dewar.
And the Congo Delegans story wraps up the sports this evening. And next we take a break. And after the break, Catherine Kasavuli, again, we have not really run away from sports. We'll introduce fires with an extension of the sporting evening of the Congo Delegans. Let's take a break. Just stay with KBC Channel 1. You're still around.
Goal setting is not just about a short-term period like 1 year. Goal setting is also about thinking about yourself, the company you work for, your village, your country. How do we adjust ourselves as quickly?
With COVID even, it was almost every day.
Instant.
Every year.
So between 2030 and 2050, the world will have changed so fundamentally in the way we have always known.
How does one come up with the New Year resolutions and make sure that you actually stick to that plan?
It means I have to change what I do. Okay? And to break those habits, I have told my mind I must do it. Okay? And so therefore, the process begins.
Well, on the Living Legends today, we host Bob Dewar, one who has hosted the Concourse d'Elegance, for all the years that I've known it. And well, recently he was recognized for his efforts and contribution to the motoring industry. Here he is.
Welcome. On the Living Legends tonight, we speak to a man who had a legal career all set for him. As fortune would have it, he took an uncharted path in publicity after parting ways with his employer. Last year, he was honored by motorsport's world governing body, the FIA, for organizing Africa's premier car beauty pageant, the Concourse d'Elegance. We hear from 2021 FIA Heritage Award winner Bob Dewar. Bob Dewar, it's an extreme privilege and honor to have you here with us on the Living Legends. Welcome.
I'm very happy to be here, Moez. I've been looking forward to this all week, ever since there was a call to say, would you like to come and be interviewed? So the answer was delighted.
And we've been looking forward to this interview as well. You're such an amazing personality, and I think tonight people will get to know much more about you. So Bob, being honored by the FIA, what was your first reaction to the message and invitation from Paris? Was it shock or was it satisfaction that you're finally being appreciated for all your hard work for the past 50 years?
Well, I've been appreciated all along by the...
But at international level?
Yes, yes. The FIA Heritage Cup is awarded to submissions, to selecting a submission from motorsport organizations around the world, the equivalent of our KMSF. Mm-hmm. And KMSF did me the honor of putting my name forward for the award. I was asked just to produce a short resume about the Concourse, mm-hmm. and to produce a 1-minute news clip. That was done, and KMSF sent in our bid, and I rather thought, oh, well, that's done. I wonder if there's any hope. And I was pleasantly surprised, bowled over, when the message came back, just a very one-line message to begin with from FIA. FIA has awarded Bob Dewar and the Concourse d'Elegance, submitted by KMSF, as the winner of the Founders Member Heritage Cup. So it's presented every year for the best contribution to the classic and vintage car movement.
That's extreme pride and honor for us Kenyans as well, and specifically for you.
It is indeed a boost for Kenya. This is the first time the award has gone to an African country. So that pleased me more than anything else.
Oh, that's awesome, and it's commendable. It's fantastic. Great. So there's a pretty good feel factor right now, isn't it, for you?
Indeed, indeed.
I can see the smile, the glorious smile.
Yeah.
Well, all that passion has reaped fruits. You think this would be the icing on the cake that you were looking for all these years?
Well,
a kind of an appreciation at international level?
I'll tell you what I think most of it now is, hopefully it will lead us to getting a sponsor for this year's event, which is scheduled for September the 25th at the Nairobi Racecourse. Because once a year, horses give way to horsepower at the Nairobi Racecourse.
Right. And I think advertisers would be inspired by its international recognition, I'm sure.
I sincerely hope so.
It will. It'll happen.
Yes.
Okay. You're born and brought up in Kenya.
Correct.
Die-hard Kenyan.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your early life and education.
Very well. It started at Kilimani Primary School. Mm-hmm. Then I progressed to the Nairobi Primary School. Then the next step in the passage to education was the Prince of Wales School, now known as the Nairobi School.
Yes.
I achieved quite good results in the higher certificate of education, and I was very fortunate to gain a place at Oxford University.
Right.
And my parents sacrificed a lot to keep me there. Halfway through the law course, I realized that the law and Bob Dewar didn't really suit each other.
You almost quit, huh?
Not really, because I would never have let down my parents.
That's honorable.
I continued, and I earned my degree, but I did realize that about 50% of the undergraduates who studied law did not go into practicing law. It was a passport to a good job. And the good job came along in London with Caltex, and they needed a graduate trainee for Kenya. As a graduate trainee, I moved around all the departments. When I came to the PR department, I clicked. This is what I want to do. They had a reorganization. They asked me what I would like to do. They offered me various transfers, including one to Vietnam, and I thought, that's not actually for me. I love this country, so I am staying. So I said, presumably, PR will now go out to contract because you're reducing the size of your organization. And they said, yes. So I said, okay, pay me out, give me the contract, and that's where the PR agency started.
So that was in 1969?
Correct.
When you formed Bob Dewar Publicity?
Yes. There I was with one contract, Caltex. Those were the pioneering days for PR in Kenya.
Right.
It was quite a new thing, but it soon became fashionable. And having started a one-man show in the corner of an advertising agency owned by friends of mine with my portable typewriter, and I would type releases out and walk around the town to deliver to the Nation and the Standard and so on. Gradually I acquired other clients and the reputation grew, and I started taking on staff and obtained my own office space. But that time of walking around the town to deliver news releases just taught me that office messengers and clerks have their difficulties and they do a vital job in the link. I've always appreciated the messenger grades, the clerical grades, for what they do.
Let's go to your passion. And your passion was to conquer the Elegance.
Indeed.
You're one of the founding members. Okay, tell us about how this idea was conceived and the first event.
50 years ago, I was the PR agent for the Alfa Romeo dealer. And I linked with Alfa Romeo in Italy and Britain to talk about clubs and do they benefit the dealer. And they said most certainly they do. They help to maintain the price and the attractiveness of a brand. So my client agreed that we should try to form an Alfa Romeo owners club. And he liked the idea because he just sold his 100th Alfa.
Okay.
So he said, look, I'll lay on a little party at the Norfolk Hotel on the terrace, and we'll invite all the owners and potential owners and just mingle and talk and see if there's a bit of a reaction. There was an amazing reaction. It was quite spontaneous, and immediately there was a temporary committee ready to submit to the Registrar of Societies to form the Alfa Romeo Owners Club. When it came to the first anniversary approaching, we thought of how are we going to celebrate the first anniversary. I'd heard of the big Concourse d'Elegance in Pebble Beach, California, and we held the first Concourse d'Elegance limited to Alfa Romeo owners and Alfa Romeo cars. It was quite amazing. It had a magic of its own. It developed. and everybody said, "Hey, Bob, can we have 2 of these in a year?" And I said, "Hang on, there's a bit of work behind this."
Let's take it easy.
Annual event. So it was an annual event for a few years, just for Alfa Romeo owners only. Then we became a bit more ambitious, and when the club was 10 years old, we opened it to all makes and types of cars, pickups, station wagons, and so on. Initially, we used to meet in the grounds of a hotel, the Spread Eagle Hotel, which is now where the Safari Park is. Then we moved it to what was the Embakasi Racing Circuit, opposite the Firestone Tyre Factory.
Right.
And that was going to be a big recreational area, and the perimeter road was to be a race track. And that's where we had the first open Concourse d'Elegance. Peter Hughes, the late Peter Hughes, Safari Rally winner, and he was in charge of motorsport. We invited him, because he was a personality, to be the chief judge. And he said, "Bob, I like it. We must show motorsport enthusiasts, rally drivers as responsible. They don't just smash up their cars tearing around East Africa in the safari and other rallies. They look after them. They should be an example to the ordinary motorist. Let's do it. But you won't get a very big entry, Bob. You'll be about 15, maybe 20 cars." Well, we got 25 and a lot of interest. When are you going to hold the next one? It gradually grew. We ended up getting about 1,000 spectators at each event at Embakasi. Then the status of that land was changed from recreation to commercial. So we went to the Jockey Club of Kenya, and they clicked, they liked it, they wanted another income earner to add to what they were getting from horse racing, which was flourishing in those days.
Yeah, at that point in time.
Yeah.
So when you moved to the Gong Racecourse, well, I mean, what was the impact of change in venue, and how did it change the planning of the event?
The very first time we moved to the racecourse, we got 3,000 spectators. Wow. We got many more entries, and this inspired other people to say, "This is good. I'm going to prepare a car for next year." And I'll tell you what had to go to another level and didn't. The catering collapsed. The beer ran out at about 12 o'clock. The food ran out. And they love the racecourse. You see, it's a stately sort of place. It's got nice shade trees, facilities. Yeah. The grandstand is marvelous. So we've been there ever since. That's 33 years ago.
33 years. And now, I'd like to ask you, the Concourse is an FIM Africa recognized and sanctioned event. What does this mean for it?
Okay, FIM is the motorcycle equivalent of FIA.
Okay.
Yeah. FIA is the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, and FIMA is the Fédération Internationale de Motocyclisme for bikes.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And they have the Africa organization in Johannesburg, and they came with the South African competitors and monitored the event, and then they recognized and sanctioned it from 2006, and that goes on the worldwide international motorcycle calendar.
Now, this beautiful trophy.
I'll tell you what it is. It was donated by one of our Alpha Club founder members for the highest placed Alfa Romeo in the Concourse, which is not necessarily the winner. We haven't had an Alfa Romeo winning the Concourse for quite a number of years.
Right.
But the highest placed Alfa Romeo is almost always in the top 10.
What should Kenyans know about the ecosystem around the Concourse for high budget to low budget entrants?
Restoring a car for the Alpha is not entirely about money. Money comes into it as in all forms of motorsport.
Right.
But mainly it's hard work, painstaking, being passionate, and having prepared to spend quite a long time. Some of the cars that have been restored for the Concourse have taken 3-4 years, not full-time 24-hour work, but in between earning a living and taking the family out and getting home in the evening and setting aside 2 or 3 hours to do something.
A good mix, business and pleasure.
Yeah.
From the heart, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Passion. Final question. What is the future of this event?
Well, I've been at it for 50 years.
Did you see another 100 years?
A little. I see the Concourse going on for 100 years, but 2 or 3 years ago, I was both Alfa Romeo Owners Club chairman and event director Concours d'Elegance. I wanted to devote more time to the Concours. I needed to devote more time to the PR agency because preparing for the Concours was beginning to eat into that valuable time. So Peter Wandai was elected chairman of the Alfa Romeo Owners Club, having been the vice chairman.
Right.
And that split the load. And he's also been heavily involved in the Concours. And again, I think he will answer that question because he will be my successor.
I'm good.
Well, it's been a wonderful Saturday. Of course, walking down memory lane, Topi, you remember, September was a month to remember. Concours d'Elegance, who would miss that, you know?
Wouldn't.
And Bob Doer, of course, very humble man, wonderful gentleman.
And he's been around forever. I mean, I'm really glad that actually he got that recognition.
Yes,
for his
from the
contribution
FIA.
to motorsport.
Yes, that is true. In Africa, because it was in Italy, and they're recognizing something that happens in Africa because of the consistency and his contribution to the motor industry and all that, and just taking us through all those vehicles, the vintage cars.
Like you remember what we were talking about, just before coming on board.
Yes,
we were talking about how many people really value their cars.
That is it.
When immediately you finish with the car, you get another one, you jump the other one, you crash it.
Exactly.
But people go out of their way to preserve.
Yes, that is true. And some of these cars actually are a prized possession. They are your memorabilia. And oftentimes, especially the older cars, you now see people are making money out of them, out of weddings. They look so beautiful. You can't see anyone with...
Like weddings actually specifically.
Yes.
You find they use some of those old cars with their tires out.
Yes.
And then also for the horse carriages.
That is true.
But something very interesting. But today's cars.
No. The material is.
But it's not. I mean,
it's not as strong as what we used to have. Yeah. So thank you, Toby.
No, thank you very much. And of course, with that, for me, I wind up our sports edition. I hope that you guys will be having a very great sporting weekend and also a great sporting week. And join us again next Saturday for another Bambi edition of the Sporting World. Back down to Catherine.
Well, it's a good start for 2022. Of course, we have seen a lot of sports on Topi's menu today. Of course, next week is going to be even hotter with more sporting activities. My name is Catherine Kasavuli. We had Byron Aburi as our sign language interpreter. We love you so much. Thank you for watching and keep it KBC Channel 1, The Legends Edition.
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo. Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
Wipe that look off your face.
You'll never learn how to cook, will you?
Why should I sweat it out when somebody else can cook and I can pay for it?
So, what's the party about?
I think I'm getting proposed to.
What? How do you know?
I just feel it.
It has been 3 years anyways. I think it's time to settle down and get the little ones.
Well, I can say the same thing for you.
I'm in no hurry. I'm still sampling different cuisines.
Okay, well, Mr. Sampling different cuisines, why don't you drop me off at my one main meal and you can go off to your wild, wild west. Hey, I hope you're hungry.
You've cooked?
No. I believe that a waiter man's heart is not through food. I tend to aim lower.
Hey.
So you know what? We should skip the main meal. Go straight to dessert.
We have to talk.
That can wait. I haven't seen you in what, 2 days? I mean, that company of yours and all those work trips. That will have to change when we... Oh, look at me, my mouth is going ahead of itself. Always happens when I'm happy, excited. So you were saying? Are you okay? Babes.
I've been given a job transfer, so I have to leave the country in the next 2 days.
What? Leave for where?
Egypt.
With all the unrest there?
You understand my job. World peace.
Well, how long are you going for? How many months?
3 years. I don't want to stop your life, make you wait for me. 3 years is really a long time.
The company can't send somebody else?
It's a great job opportunity. I'm becoming a manager. I can't let that pass.
Okay, I thought we were serious. We've been going on for 3 years.
It's a great job opportunity.
Well, you can find a better opportunity here. I mean, you're qualified.
You'll have to understand. Sorry. I wasted 3 of your years. I am. I have to go. I'll give you a call. Come on.
The most. The fact that he didn't even ask me, not even once, if I'd like to go with him. That's 3 years of my life just gone down the drain, just like that. Morning.
Morning.
What are you two smiling about?
How the two of you guys were late for family breakfast?
Vion, how did it go with a client that I linked you with?
I cancelled the meeting.
And why did you do that?
I'm not ready to go into corporate interior designing.
But you're hardly doing any business on the home interior designing front.
Dad, I'm doing fine.
Fine? Just fine? Fine is not good enough. And Mike, how did the meeting go with the new company I sent your way?
Dad, if this grilling goes on, Mike and I are going to stop coming for this Saturday family breakfasts.
Perhaps we should change this topic. Sophie, when are you inviting your friend George for breakfast?
Okay, I'm certainly not hungry. I've got to go. See you soon.
What? I won't talk about her behind her back.
Egypt.
My transfer was pushed to next month.
Honey, what's going on here? Honey?
I was to tell you about...
About what? And who is this?
My ex.
Your ex? Did we even end it, or you walked out because you were going to Egypt?
Sorry, Violet. It wasn't working.
You know what? You don't even deserve me. Goodbye. I'm doing fine without you.
Honey, let's go have some fun.
This is an excellent idea, Michael.
Thanks. It would be nice to start as soon as possible.
Yeah, just expound to me how this taxation law is going to work in this project.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, I'm in the middle of a meeting.
It's okay. It's fine. Hi, I'm Alex.
This is Vian, my sister.
Nice to meet you, Fine.
Nice to meet you. If you guys will excuse me, I'll just go sit over there as you carry on with your meeting.
No, come on. You join us. You know, this meeting is becoming too formal for my liking. Come on, sis. Have a seat.
Okay.
So, sir, about the taxation.
Michael, relax. I already bought into your proposal.
Yes.
Why don't we have some drinks and Have fun.
I could do with a big stiff one.
That makes the two of us. Hey, waiter. Give the lady whatever she needs.
Can I get a glass?
Come in.
Oh no, this is not good. This is not good at all.
V.
What the heck?
I've been calling you.
My phone's off.
You had me worried. Last time I saw you, you were with Alex alone at the bar.
I'm 29. I lived in Australia for 5 years by myself, so I can look after myself.
By the way, do you know he's a married man?
Maybe that's exactly what I need. Married men. A quick good time with no emotional investment.
Hi, thank you. Okay, yes, how are you? Yes, yours.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, babe, don't worry about this. Okay, I really have to get going. Okay. Just come on.
Your wife is calling.
I told you I don't have a wife.
Well, I don't care.
Meaning?
Meaning, I know you're married. I need to go.
What? You're leaving? Just like that? Yeah, I don't even have your number. I don't even know your name. Aren't you going to tell me your name? Guess not. Hello, honey.